didn't actually know I wanted to do marching band. I came from a smaller public school in upstate New York, and our marching band was required. Part of being in the wind ensemble and doing any sort of band activity, you were required to be in the marching band. So I was kind of like, oh, okay, this is really interesting. Like, this is fun. But we only did one parade in the spring and one parade in the fall. And then I came to visit my family down here, and we went to Monticello. And I remember at one point they have you look through the trees, and you can see UVA through a certain part up in Monticello. And I remember thinking, like, oh, I'm going to apply to that school. And it wasn't, like, marching band didn't really come into play when I thought I need to have a marching band when I apply. But music was such a big part of high school that I decided I really wanted to do band, some sort of band. I played clarinet all through high school, wind ensemble, jazz band, everything. And so I decided that I was going to do any sort of band there was at the school I ended up getting into. So then I got into UVA, I decided that's where I wanted to go, and I found out they had the marching band. And I was like, oh, that seems like it would be really fun. So I just signed up and went from there. I mean, I did marching band, wind ensemble, concert band, every sort of band, basketball band, everything you can think of. I took probably anywhere from 21 to 22 credit hours a semester, so I think they probably still have it somewhere around 17. So you have to get the overshoot or whatever they wanted to call it. I think course overload form. But I made sure with wind ensemble and band, it always put me over, so I had to get permission basically to do it. But it really fit in. I mean, marching band was like the integral central part of my college experience. I had friends, studied with people in different majors that, kind of kept your mind fresh because they would talk about other things other than what you were studying. So, I don't know, it was really like everything kind of melded together. It was really kind of perfect. I would come right from lab and I would forget to take my goggles off from the lab. And and it was at the time I had started section leader. And so I remember coming in and I'd still have my goggles on and I wouldn't even know it. And I'd, get halfway through rehearsal, or not even halfway through rehearsal, but a little bit into rehearsal. And someone from the section would be like, Hilary, you got to take your goggles off. And I'd be like, okay, sorry guys. When I came down for my, I guess you call it, what do you call it when you come in and see the school? Like a tour? Mm-hmm. I remember because I played clarinet in high school, I wanted to find out what the band programs were like. And I didn't know if music was a big part of UVA at all. And I remember going to Old Cabell because wind ensemble was a definite yes. If I got in anywhere, I was going to play in a concert band setting. And I remember meeting Mr. Cook and Lauren Schmidt in Old Cabell. They had just finished up a wind ensemble rehearsal. And I remember them talking. And it was really nice to meet a fellow clarinet, and see that everyone was actually really enjoying their time. So that probably actually influenced me a lot to join the band. The best memory I have ever was coming out onto Scott Stadium the first time. I mean, it's just, you can't even describe the feeling. You have to do it and feel it to believe it, I guess, kind of. But I remember just coming out and being so happy to be on the field. And I don't know, we did the first strain of the Cav song way back then. And that's actually one of my favorite parts of it. So we came out, and then you started the Cav song, and you were marching forward, and then at one point we just spun around, and I remember the cape came behind, and it was really cool. So I remember that. I do remember when I first came here, I had come down like a couple days before. I was moving from upstate New York, and we couldn't move into dorms afterwards. But I remember coming to the DoubleTree, and it was Josh Richards and Bonnie Carlson were section leaders at the time because I was first year, they were fourth years. And I just remember walking in and everyone was so happy, and, we got cheered as you came in. And I, found out really quickly that I fit right in and just really loved it. Uniform crew was one of my favorite parts of band camp, which is weird for some people. But I remember we got to come early, leadership came early, and we'd get all the uniforms organized so that when people came in, they could try on different sizes, and then you'd be assigned a uniform you had for the year. And it was awesome because I know throughout 4 years I would have gotten to know a lot of people, but being on uniform crew, I was able to individually meet almost every single person in the band and really start a relationship with people that, I was the interface between, some of the more logistical things and actually socially knowing people. And it was really nice, and I feel like there were a couple times that I got to influence people's view of the band because they were unsure of themselves when they came in, or, you know, wanted to know, like, where to go for lunch or something in the city. And I felt like I really got to play a part in the band. Uniform crew was awesome. It was a lot of work, but, I mean, we got the uniforms out at U-Haul and then put everything on the truck. So, I don't know. It didn't really seem like that much work, but it's cool. Well, sometimes when I would say, like, Andrew, like, hey, Andrew, like, Mr. Cook would turn around. So then I was like, Andrew Bennett Jackson, and then it shortened to ABJ. I don't remember if I did that, though. It's okay. But no, I loved everyone on the uniform crew was awesome. We all worked really well together. And I feel like it became so that it wasn't a lot of work because everyone enjoyed their time there. So when you came, you know, we listened to music when we put uniforms up on the hangers, and it was just a lot of fun. I really liked the Stevie Wonder show, and I really liked the show that we did that was Santana and Turn the Beat Around. And I thought that, like, the clarinets were up front for that one, which was unusual, but it was really fun because we had this crazy square box that we did, and we kind of went back and forth. But I loved Turn the Beat Around, and we played it as a stand tune a lot, which was awesome. The first strain was awesome, and the visual, like, where you turned and the cape came out behind you. But I think we stopped doing it because it was difficult. Tag is always a great one. The one show in particular, I remember we were doing the EWF show, and it was towards the end of the season. I can't remember when, but it was, I think, 20-something degrees outside, and it was before we had the band building, because we didn't have the band building when I was here. But I just remember it was, I think, a Thursday night practice or a Friday night practice. It was right before a game was coming up. We didn't know the music very well because it had been kind of bad weather and everyone was really stressed out. I do remember that we had a lot of work to do. It was freezing outside. So we started at U-Haul inside, like, warming up. And then we went outside. And clarinets can't wear gloves because you can't play with the gloves on. So I just remember being so cold and so angry and, like, wanting to be done. But you just have to push through. And I remember the show being actually that's another one of my favorite shows, I think. Georgia Tech. I don't remember which year it was, but it was the one where it was pouring rain. I know we had to put our instruments away because the clarinets couldn't get wet. But I remember just, like, the stadium was full of so much energy, and it was pouring rain. Everyone was dancing and having an awesome time. The other really awesome football memory would have been when we beat Maryland at Maryland, and it was, like, the last 30 seconds, and we scored, and it was just crazy. I remember being terrified to walk out of Maryland Stadium that day because they were kind of angry fans, but that was an awesome football game. Down in Jacksonville, that was awesome. I remember the pep rally was my favorite. So, I don't remember where we were, but you came through and everyone was there cheering the team on. You know, it was awesome. I knew them all a little bit differently because Mr. Pease ended up being more of a mentor to me with wind ensemble. I led sectionals in wind ensemble, so I had to work directly with Mr. Pease to coordinate times and things like that. And I remember just him being more of a teacher, a mentor, and that was awesome. Mr. Idzier was more personal, I think, because on Uniform Crew, we worked directly with him. Lizzie and I coordinated a lot of that. So we got to work a lot with him. And then Mr. Cook, like, I remember Mr. Cook would, at basketball band, I really went crazy in the stands. I really loved to dance. And I think Mr. Cook got a little jealous of my dance moves, so he would come up and try to, like, imitate my dancing. So we always had a really good time with basketball band, so. But I had a great relationship with all three of them. A lot more people. I know that there were only, I think, like 250 when I was a first year. Can't remember, but now knowing that there are 330, there are a lot of students. The band building has been a huge change, I think. I'm not sure how everything works as far as logistically, but I know that it's a lot different having, like, a place to come where it's warm inside and you can start warming up here and only go outside for necessary drill things. But other than that, it still seems like it's a really tight-knit family, good, like, social groups, a lot of really awesome songs, a lot of shows. So I think the core aspects of the band haven't really changed. It's just gotten a little bit bigger, and the band building's here now. I know that if I ever have a question about a certain procedure or, something chemistry-based that I haven't touched in a while, or anything, like, you have someone that you can talk to about it. And it's really nice to know that those people are all out there.